So up next, we have again another keynote presentation, and the keynote presentation will be from Mr. Abdelwaheb, the Chief Executive Officer of Petalinks. Petalinks. All right. So the presentation will be on. Okay, so Mr. Abdul Wahab will be talking about linking technology to business. Mr. Abdul Wahab?
Yes, hello. First of all, thank you for inviting me here. And we are proud sponsors for this event as Petalinks. Actually, what you've mentioned, linking technology to business, is our slogan, not the presentation topic.
Oh, okay.
However, the presentation topic, I'll just share my screen here, and please confirm if you could see my screen so I could move forward. Just give me a second. All right, is my screen clear?
Yes, it's perfect.
All right, just give me a second. So
we are on page 2.
Okay, so the topic is about data monetization and the privacy concerns of data producers. So usually what we're used to when people talk about data monetization, we disregard the privacy concerns of the data producer. And the data producer at the end of the day is the consumer. Assume you are using your mobile phone, you are the data producer. You are the factory producing the data. Companies are using your data to analyze and to monetize. So we will think from a company's perspective, but we will keep in mind an important part, which is data privacy. So usually what we tell consumers, once you click these 2 buttons on a privacy policy, then your data is usually, because privacy policies have so much in them, and you give the accessibility of use to companies. And on a research term, I would like to just inform you, the average reading time, this is a research by Carnegie Mellon, by the way, the average reading time of a privacy policy is 250 words per minute. And the median privacy policy is 2,514 words. So time to read a single privacy policy is 10 minutes per privacy policy. And we visit around 1,462 websites with terms and conditions per year. And this would take us 244 hours per year to read privacy policies, which means that if we spend 8 hours a day reading privacy policies, it would need us a complete month per year just for reading and understanding privacy policies. So we'll start with what happens in an internet minute. As you know, this is Larry Lewis and Chad. They explain here what happens in a single internet minute. You have 21.1 million texts sent via WhatsApp. You have 695,000 Instagram stories shared, 3.4 million Snapchat snaps. So too many things happen in a single internet minute. Now, since we're discussing Kuwait here, in Kuwait, the internet penetration rate is 99.8%. This is not because everyone has access to the internet, but maybe one person has 3 internet connections, maybe a Wi-Fi at home. On his mobile device, there is data usage. So the penetration rate is considered high in Kuwait. So who access the data? Now here we have 3 elements basically. So devices have certain data that they collect. So you're probably, whether you're using an iOS system or an Android or Windows. So devices will collect certain data. And this data is, for example, you have even the accelerometer on your phone while you're walking. It collects certain data. This is why large corporations like Google, they understand if you are walking, if you are biking, or if you are in your car. And between the devices, and what we call content, you have pipes, which are linking devices to the actual content on the internet, which are the ISPs in telecom. And you have content, which is the main content providers, search engines, social media, e-commerce websites, and video sharing platforms as the one we're using right now. So basically, each company or organization is trying to vertically integrate itself. You see companies in the content area trying to get into the devices, companies in the devices area trying to get into the content, and probably you will see the pipes also trying to get in one or either. What we usually think of when we discuss data privacy, we think that content organizations, which are your search engines, social media platforms, they have all your data. But to be honest, what content data is very limited in certain cases to what ISPs and telecoms, the pipes, have. So the pipes have all the data, regardless what the content is. So everything comes through the pipes. Now, what they gather, what they analyze, depends on them. At the end of the day, you've signed a contract, you've agreed, and certain elements are being collected about you. Now, let's just understand what business intelligence is and how it differs from data science, how it differs from probably analytics. Basically, the terminology has changed throughout the years. You see these terms, big data, data science, analytics, and they are used interchangeably. And they might be a bit different, but there is a huge interchangeability between these terms. Now, basically, this graph by Gartner, it shows you what exactly is each about. So we start with the basic data monetization, which is descriptive analytics. This is your historical reporting. This is about what has happened. And you have what is much more valuable is diagnostic analytics, which is why did the things happen, which looks as causality. If you remember back in the days, we used to learn about regression analysis. Today you have other methods as well. Now, what will happen is a bit interesting. It's much more interesting for companies to know what's going to happen. For instance, if I am a telecom or a bank, I would like to know which users will churn. Perhaps I would use some sort of neural network analysis, which is a black box analysis that will give me predictions. And these predictions are today getting high accuracy rates. And last but not least is a very valuable element, which is prescriptive analytics. Not only will it check what will happen, but how we can make things happen. So this is basically where we are now, what companies are trying to do, and this is where a lot of AI comes in. So let's understand the word big data. So big data, at the end of the day, as I've mentioned, it's used ambiguously on many terms. You see infrastructure people saying big data, and what they mean is HDFS, for instance, which is a file system at the end of the day that could handle large volumes of data using blockages. And basically what it is, they refer to it with the 3 V's, which is volume, velocity, and variety. So volume is the volume of data, which is usually measured by terabytes, gigabytes, gigabytes too small, or petabytes even, or by records. How many records, for example, in telecom, how many call detail registers do I have? And velocity is basically about how fast this data is being processed. So is it batch processing or is it near real-time processing? Maybe real-time that is lagging 20 minutes or so, and you have real-time data processing. So this basically depends on infrastructure and the variety of data. This is where it gets interesting. What we think about before, we think that you could only analyze text, which is structured data. Today, you could analyze semi-structured data, and you could analyze unstructured data, which is even video and photos and audio as well. So in terms of the trends, this is just a snapshot of Google. This is the interest over time to each keyword. So you see business intelligence decreasing slightly, however, a pickup on big data and data science in recent years, because these terms are being used recently. So let's talk about data science and big data. If we put these two concepts together, what we could get, if I could analyze unstructured data. For example, this is an image of two people in, let's say, having a look at billboard advertisements, and this is how they react, basically. So in the structured data element, you have demographics such as gender, age. So this says the gentleman is a male, the lady is a female, and this is basic, to be honest, in terms of image recognition and analysis. However, what's very interesting, now companies reached through CCTV cameras to analyze their psychometric measures, which is the level of happiness, the level of how much they're surprised, their anger level, and perhaps how much they're disgust. So these CCTV images have been taken and they're looked at on certain campaigns, basically. It gives lots of information and insight on post-campaign analytics. So analytics through across industries, you could use analytics in the retail industry. It helps you with shelf optimization. And the banking, you have fraud, segmentation, optimization. And they're using it in the healthcare industry to analyze MRI, CT scan, to detect perhaps certain and to diagnose basically what's going on with the patient. So you could detect tumors in a really structured way. And it's used also in telecom, where large operators focus on churn analytics basically, and small operators look for opportunities to upsell and cross-sell. So this is a segment of what you could do with data science. This is social network analysis. And this image here, since I used to be in telecom, is basically a table containing CDRs, basically. So CDRs usually tell you who's the caller, the source, the destination, what's the call type, or basically whether it's voice or SMS, the date and the duration of the call. Now, this is what they call social network analysis. You create communities through only calls. The application here is on telecom, but this could be applied to social network. If we're talking about Facebook, the number of connections you have. If we are talking about Twitter, who you're following, who's following you. And what you get on the right side is a visualization. So a social network analysis visualization tells you about communities. For instance, if who is a leader in a community, you see in number 2 in green, a leader that everyone is connected to. And this application shows you only calls. And this leader is basically influencing all the the red spots. And he is leading a community. Now, number 2 here is a leader of a community, the red community. However, he's a follower in the community that number 15 is leading. So we call him a bridge between communities. Number 15 is a bridge as well, and number 1 is a bridge as well. This helps you a lot in terms of valuing your customer. If we are in telecom here, if your price plan is only 2 KD, however, you are a leader, you are an influencer on people. So we revalue you not in terms of monetary value directly, but there are intangibles to value what influences you have. And the measures of social network analysis and the level and degree of relationship between you and another party is also measured. For instance, in telecom, you usually have more quantity of calls with the person you have a good relation with, or you have a strong relation with, as well as the duration of calls is usually longer. So I could detect to what level you have a relationship with this person through call duration and call frequency. Perhaps if we were in social media, on the number of wall posts between you and this person, on the number of mentions on Twitter. So it tells you a lot, and this is really an area that is booming and organizations should focus on. Now, the future of data science and analytics will be very obvious with the Internet of Things, because the Internet of Things will give you more transactions, more volumes of data. This is when your fridge is connected to the internet, your microwave perhaps. Today we already have this. We have your smartwatches connected to the internet. They are even collecting data on your heartbeats. So imagine the data collected is to the level of your heartbeats. What can I know about you from this? I could know your reaction to things just from a watch, basically. So what should people do, or what should the consumers do, is not stay away and not agree to privacy policies, but understand them in an acceptable manner and find a trade-off between privacy and convenience. Now, this is important for the consumer. However, organizations such as the ones within this conference and within this summit should focus on this, because we understand that data science, analytics, big data could lead to monetary returns. However, today, consumers do understand the privacy concerns, and we should find solutions for them. We should think about data aggregation. We should think about which data we should not touch. We should even use this for our CSR. We should say that we are not doing this for that reason. And we should be clear with our clientele. So thank you very much. This is basically my talk today, and it was a pleasure being amongst you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdelwaheb. Like, interesting presentation on data. Of course, privacy effect. We didn't know that we click on terms and condition without even consider reading it. So yeah, good insight, and hopefully the audience enjoyed it too. So if there's any questions, of course, will be sent across to you. As of now, I don't see any. But sure, there will be as and when we share the presentations with our participants, panelists, and speakers, and of course the sponsors. They'll be shared with you so that you could, have them addressed. Having said that, Petalinks delegates is one of our partners for the event. Do visit their virtual space under the exhibition tab in the virtual platform. If you have any questions, you can drop in there, or if you want to meet and network with a representative of Petalinks, of course, Mr. Abdelwaheb and his team are available, so please feel free to do so. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdelwaheb.
Thank you, Naveen. Thanks a lot for letting me join you. Thank you for the invitation, and we are really glad to being sponsors in the KCC Summit. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure. Thank you so much again.